Strong people choose silence to focus on action, not argument. True strength is shown in silence, not in loud words. Have you ever noticed how the strongest people around you don't always feel the need to speak up or explain themselves? Why is it that some people choose silence when everything inside is pushing them to react? What if the real power isn't in arguing or shouting louder, but in holding back and staying calm? Think about how often you rush to say something before fully understanding a situation, or how quick words have caused more damage than good. This video will challenge the way you see strength. It will show you how silence isn't weakness, but a choice made by those who control their emotions and focus on what truly matters. If you want to learn how to build mental toughness, protect your peace, and keep growing even when life gets tough, stay with me. This is about real strength that changes your life. Now let's dive in. Number 1. Control your words and protect your inner peace. There's a moment in every person's life when emotions rise, when the pressure feels heavy, when the noise around us demands a reaction, and in that moment, the easiest thing to do is speak. It's easy to snap. It's easy to fight back. It's easy to shout, defend, explain, prove. But strong people don't follow what's easy. They follow what's right. They choose silence. They pause. They breathe. They hold back. Not because they're weak, not because they're scared, but because they understand the value of their peace. You've got to ask yourself, what's more valuable, being right or staying in control of your own mind? What brings you closer to the person you're trying to become, winning an argument, or walking away with your spirit intact? You see, strong people know that words have power, and once you give those words away, you don't get them back. You can't unsay what's been said. You can't pull back the impact. So strong people are careful. They protect their energy. They guard their space. When someone disrespects them, they don't explode. When life throws stress at them, they don't crumble. When someone challenges them, they don't always respond. Not because they don't feel, but because they've trained themselves not to react to everything. They've built that strength over time by choosing their peace over their pride. They've learned that peace isn't something you wait for, it's something you protect. Every day, with discipline, with patience, with restraint. You won't find inner peace by saying everything that crosses your mind. You find it by learning what deserves your voice and what doesn't. Not every opinion needs to be spoken. Not every insult deserves your attention. Not every conversation is worth your energy. When you realize this, you start rising. You start growing. You start becoming unshakable, because your peace is no longer tied to what others say or do. Now think about this. When's the last time you regretted staying silent? Think about it. Silence almost always gives you clarity. It gives you space to think, to understand, to breathe. But how many times have you regretted speaking too soon? Saying something in anger, replying in frustration? That's where the real damage happens. That's when you lose your power. Strong people know that. They've learned that silence is not a sign of weakness, it's a sign of control. There's strength in that pause. There's power in that moment when you feel the urge to snap back, and instead you take a step back. That 1 second of control might save you from days of damage. It might save a relationship. It might protect your reputation. It might keep your heart from carrying guilt. Words are heavy, and strong people know when to carry them and when to keep them in. They live with a different mindset. They don't walk around needing to prove themselves. They don't need to win every discussion. They don't need to always explain who they are, because they already know they've built that foundation from the inside. It doesn't shake with someone else's opinion. They don't react to everything. They don't chase every challenge. They don't match every level of disrespect. Why? Because they're not here to survive every storm. They're here to stay calm in the middle of it. When you live like that, you start feeling lighter. You stop needing to argue with people who don't want to understand. You stop wasting your breath on things that don't move your life forward. You stop feeding drama. You stop being pulled into every emotion someone else throws at you. That's peace. And you protect it by controlling your words. The truth is, self-control is one of the hardest things to build. but it's also the most freeing. The moment you realize that not everything needs your reaction is the moment you take your power back, and you'll find, most of the time, silence speaks for you. When you don't react, you show that you've got nothing to prove. When you don't respond, you show that your peace is more valuable than their opinion. When you stay quiet, you show that your focus is bigger than the moment. This takes discipline. It takes work. You have to catch yourself in the moment. You have to feel that surge of frustration and still choose quiet. You have to feel disrespected and still choose grace. Not for them, for you. Because every time you react, you give them a piece of your peace. And that's a price too high to pay. There are people in this world who feed on chaos, who want to pull you into their mess, who push your buttons just to see you snap. Don't give them the satisfaction. Don't fall for it. When you stay silent, you stay free. When you stay silent, you stay above it. When you stay silent, you hold on to your strength. Strong people don't need to raise their voice to be heard. Their presence speaks for them. Their actions speak for them. Their consistency, their patience, their calm. That's what makes them powerful. Not loud words, not quick replies, but the ability to stay steady when everything else is shaking. Control your words and you control your life. You control how you feel. You control how others see you. You control the tone of your day. Because every moment you stay silent, instead of reacting, you're investing in your peace. You're investing in your future. You're protecting what matters. Not just your image, but your mental space, your focus, your direction. So today, make a new standard for yourself. Don't waste words. Don't spill your emotions to people who won't value them. Don't lower your standards to match the chaos around you. You weren't made to live in noise. You were made to lead with purpose. And sometimes the best leadership is quiet. Sometimes the strongest stance is peace. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all and keep walking forward. Control your words and protect your inner peace. That's not just advice. That's a way to live. That's how strong people rise. That's how they keep their power. That's how they stay focused. That's how they stay free. Number 2, hold back and let your strength do the talking. There's something powerful about not reacting when the world expects you to. When you choose to hold back. When you choose to stay in control. You separate yourself from the noise. Most people are quick to speak, quick to argue, quick to show off. But real strength doesn't need to perform. Real strength doesn't need to be loud. It's quiet. It's steady. It's rooted deep inside a person who knows exactly who they are and where they're headed. Holding back doesn't mean you're ignoring what's happening around you. It means you've developed the ability to pause, to measure, to decide if something deserves your effort or not. And most of the time, it doesn't. The world wants quick reactions, fast opinions, constant responses, but strength says, I'll choose when and how I respond. That choice alone changes everything. You don't need to announce your worth to anyone. You don't need to prove yourself in every situation. If you walk with purpose, if you live with clarity, your actions will speak clearly. Strong people carry themselves in a way that says more than words ever could. They know that every reaction comes with a cost, and they're not willing to pay that price for things that don't matter. When you hold back, you're not giving up. You're choosing to protect your power. You're choosing patience. You're choosing to put your energy into something that actually serves your life. You can't build anything meaningful if you're always caught up in every small conflict. You can't move forward if you're wasting energy trying to be understood by people who don't want to understand. Holding back takes maturity. It takes emotional discipline. It takes a level of awareness that doesn't come overnight. It comes from life, from experience, from lessons learned the hard way, from mistakes that taught you the difference between reaction and direction. You begin to see that responding to everything is draining, that not every situation deserves your voice, that walking away is not weakness, it's wisdom. You start to notice that strong people don't fight every battle. They don't defend themselves every time someone questions them. They don't explain themselves to people who've already made up their minds. They trust their actions to show who they are. They trust time to bring clarity. They trust their silence to reflect their strength. That trust comes from doing the work, from knowing yourself, from being secure enough not to chase approval. Letting your strength do the talking means you understand your priorities. You understand what really matters. You stop being pulled in every direction. You stop reacting just to prove something. You stop feeling the need to match someone's energy when it's negative or toxic. You focus on your own lane, your own goals, your own peace. The world will test you. People will test your limits. They'll challenge your patience. They'll try to pull you into drama. They'll say things just to get a reaction. That's when strength shows up. That's when you decide whether you're going to live by impulse or by choice. When you hold back, you make that choice for yourself. You stay grounded. You stay aware. You protect your space. You don't need to raise your voice when your life is already showing the results. You don't need to argue when you've built something worth standing on. Let your progress do the talking. Let your growth speak for you. Let your results make the point. Because people pay attention to what you've built. They notice the consistency. They notice the discipline. They notice the direction. All without you needing to explain a single thing. Strong people carry a kind of quiet confidence. It's not about arrogance. It's not about being better than anyone else. It's about knowing who you are. It's about being so focused on your own purpose that outside opinions don't shake you. It's about having peace in the middle of conflict, clarity in the middle of confusion, calm in the middle of pressure. Holding back is not about staying silent forever. It's about waiting for the right moment, the right reason, the right conversation. It's about stepping back so you can step forward with intention. You don't give in to emotional reactions. You don't feed negativity with more negativity. You stand your ground, but you do it with control. When you learn to hold back, you also start choosing your company more wisely. You stop surrounding yourself with people who bring chaos. You stop allowing people who trigger your worst self to have access to your mind. You start building relationships that support your direction. You start protecting your energy like it's your most valuable resource, because it is. In every situation, you have a choice. You can react and lose control, or you can hold back and lead yourself. That's what strong people do. They lead themselves. They take full responsibility for how they respond. They don't let anyone else decide how they feel or act. That's a different level of strength. That's real power. You may not always get credit for staying calm. People may not always see the inner strength it takes to hold back. But that doesn't matter. You're not doing it for credit. You're doing it for peace. You're doing it for focus. You're doing it for your own growth. Because every time you hold back, you're building something stronger inside. A stronger mindset. A stronger character. A stronger sense of direction. You'll find that the more you hold back, the more control you gain. The more control you have, the better your decisions become. And the better your decisions, the better your life. It all starts with that one moment. The moment you feel the urge to react and you choose not to. That moment is small on the outside, but on the inside it changes everything. This isn't about staying quiet just to avoid conflict. It's about being strong enough to know when silence is power. It's about letting your presence carry weight. It's about knowing that the strongest statements are made by people who live with purpose, not people who shout with emotion. Strength doesn't demand attention. It doesn't chase approval. It doesn't need applause. It just stands tall. It just keeps going. It just stays grounded. That's what it means to hold back and let your strength do the talking. Every time you do it, you rise. You level up. You move forward without saying a word. And that speaks louder than anything else ever could. Number 3. Choose silence and rise above the noise. Every day you're surrounded by noise. People talking, shouting, arguing, posting, judging, noise on your phone, in your workplace, even in your own head. Everybody wants to be heard, and nobody wants to listen. Everybody wants the last word, and nobody wants to think twice. But the person who learns to stay quiet in a loud world builds an uncommon kind of strength. Because choosing silence is not giving up. It's stepping up. It means you know how to protect your focus. It means you're smart enough not to waste your time trying to outshout the world. There's a kind of discipline in staying quiet when everyone else is loud. Most people feel like they have to react. They feel like they have to respond to every comment, every look, every challenge. They think silence means weakness. But it's the opposite. Silence means you've got control. It means you're not playing by the world's rules. You've got a higher standard for yourself. You don't need to say everything you think. You don't need to respond just because someone else is talking. You rise by choosing what you give your attention to. When you choose silence, you choose your direction. You start to realize that not every voice deserves space in your mind. Not every opinion matters. Not every disagreement needs your input. You don't have to prove anything. You don't have to explain everything. You don't need approval from people who don't understand your journey. You've got your own mission. And you're not going to let noise distract you from it. Choosing silence means you're paying attention to what actually matters. You're listening more. You're thinking more clearly. You're slowing things down, so you can respond with purpose instead of emotion. That's how you rise above. You stop reacting and you start deciding. You stop explaining and you start building. You stop defending yourself and you start living on your terms. There's always going to be noise. There's always going to be drama, gossip, pressure, but you don't have to join it. You can watch it go by without jumping into it. You can keep your energy for the things that count. You can keep your words for when they'll actually move something forward. You don't need to fight every fight. You don't need to argue with every critic. You don't need to prove your worth in every conversation. You know who you are, and that's enough. Strong people are not pulled into every moment. They create space between their thoughts and their actions. They don't let every trigger pull them out of character. They've learned that silence gives them room to think. It gives them a chance to observe without being pulled into chaos. It gives them power that doesn't come from shouting. It comes from self-control. It's not easy to choose silence, especially when your ego wants to speak, especially when people push your buttons. But every time you stay quiet, you grow a little stronger. You start to realize that peace is not something people give you. It's something you create by not giving away your reactions. People will misunderstand you. They'll say things that aren't true. They'll push for a reaction. Let them. That's their level. You don't need to meet them there. You don't need to drop to their standards just to be seen or heard. You hold your own. You walk your path. You keep going. That's how you rise. Quietly, consistently, on your terms. You start focusing more on your inner world than what's happening outside. You stop trying to be everywhere and do everything. You simplify. You get honest about what drains you and what builds you. You stop giving your energy to things that don't help you grow. That's a decision, a choice, and it changes everything. You begin to see that your value isn't in how loud you are, but in how solid you are. You don't climb by yelling. You climb by showing up every day, keeping your focus, doing the work. You climb by staying grounded. The more you grow, the less you need to explain. The more you achieve, the less you talk, because your results speak. Your consistency speaks. Your growth speaks. And all of that is louder than any noise around you. Choosing silence also gives you space to hear your own thoughts. In a world that's constantly telling you who to be, what to do, how to live, silence helps you reconnect with yourself. It helps you figure out what you really want, what matters to you, what you're willing to fight for, what you need to walk away from. Silence teaches you to trust your instincts, to check in with your values, to pause before you act. That's strength. That's leadership. You can't grow if you're always reacting. You can't lead if you're always talking. You can't build if you're always explaining. There's something powerful about holding your voice until it matters. There's something powerful about walking away without saying a word. That's not avoidance. That's direction. That's choosing where your energy goes. That's choosing your battles. That's choosing your peace over noise. You've got to ask yourself, what kind of person do you want to be? Do you want to be someone who gets pulled into everything, who's constantly reacting, constantly explaining, constantly defending? Or do you want to be someone who stays steady, who stays calm, who moves with purpose, no matter what's happening around them? You make that choice every day, every conversation, every challenge, every insult, every opportunity. You choose how you show up. The people who rise above the noise are not the loudest. They're the clearest. They're the most focused. They've taken the time to build themselves from the inside out. They're not chasing attention. They're not playing small games. They're not trying to win every argument. They're trying to win their life. And they do that by protecting their attention, their thoughts, their reactions. That's what silence gives you. It gives you clarity. It gives you presence. It gives you control. Not control over others, but control over yourself. That's the kind of power that can't be shaken by noise. That's the kind of power that stands strong even when everything else feels uncertain. You can have that, but you've got to be willing to stop feeding the noise and start trusting the silence. Because when you trust it, you rise. Not with force, not with noise, but with strength. Quiet, steady strength that moves forward no matter what. Number 4, stay calm and guard your emotional energy. Every day brings new challenges. People cut you off in traffic. Someone criticizes you unfairly. You get ignored, interrupted, misunderstood. It happens. Life doesn't go your way all the time. You don't always get the respect you deserve. But here's the truth. Most people never learn. Your emotions are your responsibility. You're the one who decides how much energy to give to something. And the strong ones? They stay calm. They protect their emotional fuel like it's gold, because it is. Once it's gone, everything else starts to fall apart. When you let your emotions run wild, you lose focus. You lose time. You lose control. But when you stay calm, you think clearly. You respond better. You keep moving in the direction that matters. Calm doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to not let everything get to you. It means you've decided that your peace is more valuable than reacting to every little thing. That's wisdom. That's strength. Guarding your emotional energy isn't selfish. It's smart. If you give your emotions to every argument, every complaint, every disappointment, you'll run out. You'll feel drained. You'll feel like the world is too much. But it's not the world that's too much. It's how you're using your energy. You have to protect what fuels your focus. You have to defend what helps you grow. That means saying no to drama. That means walking away from what doesn't build you. That means not wasting your calm on people who enjoy chaos. People will test your patience. Life will challenge your balance. But if you lose your calm, you hand them the power. If you explode, if you scream, if you panic, they win. You gave them control over you. But when you stay steady, when you hold your center, when you speak with clarity or choose not to speak at all, you win. Not in the way the world defines winning, but in the way that builds your future. You win by keeping your energy focused on what truly matters. You can't do big things with scattered emotions. You can't lead your life from a place of chaos. Calm is your anchor. It helps you stand when things shake. It helps you see when things are unclear. And it helps you hear your own thoughts when the world gets too loud. When you hold that calm, you become more than just someone reacting to life. You become someone directing it. Emotions are powerful. They shape your day, your words, your relationships. But when you're constantly tired, frustrated, or overwhelmed, it's often because your emotional boundaries are too loose. You've given too many people access to your state of mind. It's time to pull some of that back. Not because you're cold, not because you're detached, but because you're finally choosing to protect your energy like it matters. Because it does. You wake up with a limited amount of focus, a limited amount of patience, a limited amount of drive. Why waste it on things that don't help you move forward? Why let someone's bad attitude ruin your whole day? Why let one negative comment live in your head for hours? You've got better things to do. You've got goals to reach. You've got people who need you strong, not reactive. You don't need to respond to everything. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You don't need to be involved in every emotional storm. That's not strength. That's exhaustion. Strength is choosing your battles wisely. It's learning to pause before reacting. It's walking away from things that don't deserve your peace. You're not weak for staying calm. You're focused, you're disciplined. You're building something that doesn't fall apart every time the wind blows. It's easy to get pulled in. It's easy to snap back, to vent, to argue, but none of that adds value to your life. It just empties your tank. And when your tank is empty, you can't be your best. You can't think deeply. You can't create. You can't lead. You're just trying to survive the day. But when you protect your calm, you rise above that. You give yourself space to think, space to grow, space to choose how you want to feel, not just how others make you feel. Not everything deserves your reaction. Not everything needs your emotion. You've got to ask yourself, does this help me grow? Does this serve my peace? Does this lead me closer to who I want to be? If the answer is no, then stay calm. Protect your energy. Save it for what moves you forward. That's how strong people live. They don't live in reaction. They live with purpose. They don't give away their emotions. They invest them carefully. It's not just about being calm during conflict. It's about staying steady when things go wrong, when plans change, when people disappoint you, when life throws something unexpected. Calm says, I can handle this. Calm says, I've got this. Not because everything is easy, but because you've trained yourself not to fall apart every time something happens. That kind of calm builds confidence. That kind of calm changes how people see you. That kind of calm makes you a rock for others. But more importantly, it makes you solid for yourself. This isn't about suppressing how you feel. It's about owning your feelings without letting them own you. It's about feeling everything, but choosing what you act on. It's about slowing down your reactions so you can speed up your growth. That's what emotional discipline does. It doesn't block your emotions. It guides them. It teaches them when to speak and when to rest. It gives them structure, and in that structure you find power. People who stay calm are not lucky. They're intentional. They've trained their minds. They've practiced the pause. They've learned to take a breath instead of breaking down. They've realized that life gets easier, not when everything around you changes, but when you change how you respond to it. When you protect your emotions, you protect your life, you protect your dreams, you protect your time. Every outburst takes something from you. Every meltdown leaves a mark. But every moment of calm, that's strength being built. That's character being formed. That's self-respect showing up. That's you saying, I choose peace. Not because you're passive, but because you're powerful enough not to need chaos to feel alive. Your calm is your strength. Your calm is your edge. Your calm is your advantage. In a world that can't sit still, guard it, use it, and watch how much more you gain when you stop letting your emotions lead the way. Number 5. Listen more and understand before you speak. One of the best ways to grow as a person is to slow down and truly listen. In a world full of noise where everyone wants to be heard, the ones who choose to understand first stand out. Listening is not just about being quiet while someone else is talking. It's about paying full attention to what's being said, how it's being said, and why it's being said. It's about being present, not just with your ears, but with your full attention. Most people only listen to reply, not to understand. They wait for their turn to speak, instead of taking the time to really absorb what's in front of them. Strong people do it differently. They listen, they observe, they think, then they speak, if they need to. When you take the time to listen more, you gain clarity. You begin to see things that others miss. You start to understand motives, fears, and patterns. You learn not just from the words people say, but from what they don't say. You start recognizing what's behind the frustration, behind the silence, behind the anger. This awareness gives you strength. It gives you the ability to respond with wisdom instead of emotion. It helps you stay in control of yourself instead of reacting based on assumptions or impulse. Speaking too quickly, especially in stressful moments, often leads to misunderstanding. You may say something you didn't mean. You may cut someone off before you even understand what they were trying to say. You may make a situation worse just because you were too eager to get your point across. That's not strength. That's a lack of discipline. The real strength is in holding back just long enough to get the full picture. It's in giving others the respect of being heard before expecting them to hear you. It's in showing that you value understanding more than being right. When you speak after truly listening, your words carry weight. People know you didn't just react. They know you took the time to think. They can feel the difference. They listen back. They trust you more. That's how influence grows. Not from always having the loudest voice, but from using your voice at the right moment and in the right way. Silence and listening build trust. Rushing to speak only builds noise. Strong people know when to be quiet. They don't waste words. They don't speak just to fill space. They speak to bring value. But before they do, they learn. They take the time to really hear what's going on around them. They ask questions. They reflect. They stay curious. This mindset allows them to see problems before they explode. It helps them notice details others ignore. It keeps them grounded and centered. Listening helps you connect with people. It shows that you care. It shows that you're not just focused on your own thoughts, but on the person in front of you. That kind of attention is rare, and people remember it. They feel safer with you. They feel respected. And when people feel respected, they open up. They trust more. They become more honest. That's how real relationships are built, through deep listening, not constant talking. Understanding doesn't mean agreeing with everything you hear. It doesn't mean letting others walk over you. It means taking the time to get the full story before you respond. It means knowing when to wait, when to ask, when to pause. It's about getting to the root, not just reacting to the surface. Anyone can talk. Anyone can argue. Anyone can push their opinion. But to truly understand, that takes maturity. That takes strength. There's power in restraint. There's value in holding your words until they're clear, calm, and needed. When you listen more, you give yourself room to choose better words. You avoid saying things that hurt or confuse. You speak with intention. You don't waste time or energy on things that don't need to be said. You don't rush to correct others before understanding their view. That self-control becomes your advantage. The better you listen, the more you learn. You start seeing life through more than just your own lens. You become a better leader, a better friend, a better human being, because now you're not guessing. You're not reacting to a part of the story. You're responding with full awareness. And that kind of response is powerful. It brings solutions instead of arguments. It creates peace instead of conflict. It strengthens connection instead of tearing it down. There's a reason why wise people are often quiet. It's not because they don't have thoughts. It's because they know when to speak and when to observe. They value truth over ego. They're more interested in understanding than in being seen. They know that most of the answers are already in the room. You just have to listen to find them. That kind of wisdom doesn't come from talking all the time. It comes from listening carefully, thinking deeply, and speaking purposefully. Learning to listen more helps you stay calm in pressure moments. Instead of reacting with frustration, you respond with insight. Instead of raising your voice, you raise your awareness. Instead of getting pulled into tension, you bring calm to the room. That makes you valuable. That makes you someone people turn to. Because you're not just another voice in the crowd, you're someone who hears what's really being said. You can't influence people if you don't understand them. You can't lead people if you don't hear them. You can't grow if you think you already know everything. Every person you meet has something to teach you. Every situation has a lesson if you're willing to pay attention. That kind of mindset, where you're always listening, always learning, that's what makes you unstoppable. That's what builds a life of depth and meaning. The next time you feel the urge to jump in, pause, ask yourself, do I understand the full story? Have I really listened? Have I given this moment the attention it deserves? If the answer is no, then hold back. Listen more. Give the space for understanding to take root. That's not weakness. That's wisdom in action. And it's something the strongest people do without needing to prove anything. They don't rush to speak because they're secure enough in themselves to wait. They know their voice matters, but only when it's used with care. Every moment of silence gives you power. Every pause gives you clarity. Every effort to understand builds your foundation. This is how strong people lead their lives, not with constant words but with deep understanding. Not with noise, but with purpose. Not by reacting, but by listening first. Listen more. Understand deeper. Then speak when the moment is right. And when you do, your words won't just fill the air. They'll move people. Number 6. Walk away and focus on your own growth. There comes a point in life when staying in a place, a conversation, or even a relationship no longer serves who you are becoming. And that's when the strong step away. Not because they're weak, not because they're giving up, but because they understand the value of their time, their energy, and most of all, their growth. Walking away doesn't mean defeat. It means maturity. It means your goals, your peace, and your self-worth are more important than holding on to what holds you back. Strong people don't stay where they're not growing. They don't stay in the middle of arguments that go in circles. They don't remain stuck trying to prove a point to people who are not open to hear it. They don't spend hours trying to convince someone of their value. Instead, they get quiet. They observe. They learn the lesson, and they move forward. Because forward is where the growth happens. Forward is where new doors open. Forward is where clarity lives. You can't grow while being stuck in drama. You can't become the best version of yourself while constantly trying to fix others. You can't stay focused on your path while being pulled into distractions. Growth needs focus. It needs space. It needs energy. That's why strong people choose to walk away, not to escape, but to protect what they're building inside. It's a decision that takes strength because it's easier to stay and argue, to defend, to explain. But strength chooses what's right over what's easy. There's power in removing yourself from what drains you. When you stop trying to change what doesn't want to change, you free up your attention. You reclaim your peace. You create room to invest in things that lift you higher. The time you waste in battles you don't need to fight is time you could be using to build something meaningful. The longer you stay where you don't belong, the more you delay your progress. The sooner you walk away, the quicker you return to your path. People will question you when you choose to walk away. They might say you gave up or that you didn't care enough. But the truth is, you cared enough about yourself to choose better. You cared enough to say, this is not worth my energy anymore. You knew that no amount of explaining would change someone who doesn't want to understand. And that realization gives you your freedom. It puts you back in control. Growth isn't loud. It happens quietly, in moments of reflection, in daily discipline, in showing up for yourself. It happens when you use your time wisely, when you read, when you learn, when you build skills, when you focus on what matters instead of what's trying to distract you. That's why walking away is not walking out. It's stepping into something better, something that deserves your effort, something that respects your values, something that challenges you to rise instead of keeping you small. It takes courage to leave behind comfort, even when comfort is toxic. It's easier to stay in what's familiar, even if it's not helping you grow. But strength knows when enough is enough. Strength says, I've outgrown this space. And then it moves. And every step away from what's holding you back is a step toward who you're meant to become. That's how personal power grows, not by controlling others, but by choosing yourself. When you walk away, you give yourself permission to focus inward. You start asking better questions. What can I do better today? What habits need to change? What environment helps me grow? That inward focus is where transformation begins. It's not about blaming others. It's not about pointing fingers. It's about looking in the mirror and deciding that your growth is worth the effort, that your future is worth protecting, that your peace is non-negotiable. You don't need to prove anything to people who don't understand your path. You don't owe endless explanations to those who only hear what they want. What you owe is your best self to your future. That's who needs your attention. That's who needs your energy. That's who you're responsible for. And every moment you walk away from what drains you is a moment you walk toward who you're becoming. Sometimes, the best response is silence. Not every situation deserves your words. Not every fight deserves your presence. Not every critic deserves your energy. When you walk away, you're not giving up. You're giving yourself back. You're choosing growth over ego. You're choosing purpose over noise. And that choice defines strong people, because they don't get stronger by forcing others to understand them. They get stronger by understanding themselves and doing what's necessary. You grow by being around people who challenge you in the right way. People who see your potential. People who support your journey. People who want to grow too. You don't grow by staying stuck in places where you're constantly misunderstood or unappreciated. Walking away opens the door for better. But better doesn't come to those who wait around hoping things will change. Better comes to those who make the change. Focus is everything. Your mind only has so much space. Fill it with things that matter. With learning. With building. With developing character. With pushing your limits. That's where progress lives. That's where confidence grows. That's where fulfillment is found. You can't afford to keep giving your time to things that don't feed your future. Every distraction has a cost. Every unnecessary fight drains you. Every toxic environment slows your pace. Walk away and give that time back to yourself. Use that space to build. Start the habit you've been putting off. Read the book that stretches your thinking. Practice the skill that improves your value. Build the routine that shapes your discipline. Focus on progress, not noise, because nothing will change until you do. The growth doesn't come from talking about change. It comes from living it, from showing up when no one claps, from choosing the hard path, because you know where it leads, from saying no to what's easy, because it doesn't match your goals. Walking away is one of the highest forms of self-respect. It says, I know what I bring, I know where I'm going, and I won't waste another moment in a place that doesn't align with that. That's how strong people move. Not with anger, not with revenge, but with quiet certainty, with calm direction, with a decision to put their energy where it belongs. You'll know when it's time to walk away. You'll feel it in your gut. You'll sense that something doesn't fit anymore. And when you do, don't second guess it. Don't wait for permission. Don't explain it 100 times. Just step forward. Your growth is waiting. Your future is watching. Your life is yours. Make sure you're building it with intention. Every step you take away from the noise is a step toward becoming the person you were always meant to be. Number 7. Keep quiet and master your self-discipline. There's something powerful about staying quiet when everything in you wants to react. That moment when frustration rises, when pride knocks, when your emotions want to take control, that's the testing ground for discipline. And discipline is where strength is built. Not in noise, not in defending yourself, not in making your voice louder than someone else's. It's built in those small choices where you choose control over chaos. That's the difference between someone who's driven by impulse and someone who's led by purpose. Discipline is not born from loud moments. It's shaped in the silence. It's formed when you resist the urge to speak just to prove something. It grows every time you choose to walk past a distraction. It sharpens every time you say no to a temptation that promises comfort but delivers regret. And that's the work no one sees. People might see your calm, but they don't always see the internal battle it took to hold that line. The countless moments you kept quiet, not because you had nothing to say, but because you had something greater to protect: your peace, your path, your progress. Keeping quiet doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're in control. It means you've made a decision to respond with intention, not emotion. To act based on what you're building, not what you're feeling in the moment. That's not easy. That takes maturity. That takes self-awareness. And most of all, it takes discipline to pause, to reflect, to make the choice that aligns with your long-term goals rather than short-term relief. Self-discipline is built one decision at a time. It's waking up early, even when you're tired. It's saying no to things that waste your time. It's staying consistent when no one's watching. It's doing the hard thing because it's the right thing. And sometimes, the hardest thing is saying nothing when your ego wants to scream. But that silence, that's power, that's wisdom, that's the strength that builds unshakable character. You can't master your life without mastering yourself. And mastering yourself means learning to manage your thoughts, your emotions, and your reactions. It means not letting every comment get under your skin. It means not reacting to every criticism. It means not needing to be right all the time. That's what separates those who grow from those who stay stuck. the ability to take a breath, to hold back, and to keep moving forward in silence. Because silence doesn't mean doing nothing. It means choosing to do what matters most. Your discipline is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. Every time you stay focused when it would be easier to give in, you grow that muscle. Every time you keep your mouth shut when you could lash out, you train yourself to think bigger. Because when you react, you give your power away. But when you pause, you keep your power. You stay in control. And staying in control is what allows you to move with purpose. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they lack discipline. They give in too quickly. They speak too soon. They quit too early. And the ones who succeed, they're not the loudest. They're not the flashiest. They're the ones who made thousands of quiet decisions when no one was watching. They stayed up late to work on their craft. They said no to things that would pull them off track. They stayed calm in moments of pressure. That's discipline. That's the work that changes your life. To keep quiet and stay disciplined is to choose growth over noise. It's to protect your mental space from unnecessary stress. It's to avoid burning energy on things that don't help you. It's about creating boundaries not just around your time, but around your mind. Because where your mind goes, your life follows. And if your mind is always reacting, always chasing, always battling, you'll never have the clarity to lead yourself to something better. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to argue every point. You don't have to justify every move. What you need is to be consistent in your actions. Show up for your life with purpose. Stay focused on what you're building. Let your results speak. Let your progress be your reply. That's how strong people live. That's how disciplined people grow. Not with empty words, but with quiet commitment. In a world where everyone wants to be heard, be the one who listens more. Be the one who thinks deeper. Be the one who waits before reacting. Because in that waiting, in that quiet moment of stillness, you'll find the clarity to choose wisely. And every wise choice builds your discipline. Every wise choice keeps you grounded. Every wise choice gets you closer to who you want to become. Strong people don't need to prove themselves with noise. They prove themselves with results, with the way they carry themselves, with the life they build through effort, not excuses. And that effort comes from discipline. Discipline to stay in your lane, discipline to keep your focus, discipline to ignore the noise and do what you said you'd do. It's not glamorous. It's not exciting, but it's the only way to reach the level you're aiming for. There will always be people who try to pull you into arguments. There will always be situations that push your buttons, but you get to decide how you respond. You get to choose if it's worth your energy. You get to protect your time, your emotions, your focus. That choice, that discipline, is what shapes the direction of your life. You don't rise by engaging in every battle. You rise by choosing the battles that matter and letting go of the ones that don't. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It's the presence of control. It's knowing that not everything deserves a reaction. It's knowing that your discipline is your greatest weapon. Because when you control yourself, nothing outside of you can control you. And that's the kind of strength that lasts. That's the kind of strength that builds something meaningful. You won't always feel like doing the right thing. You won't always feel like staying quiet. You won't always feel like being disciplined. But feelings come and go. What stays is the person you become through the choices you make. Keep choosing discipline. Keep showing up. Keep doing what matters. Even if no one claps. Even if no one sees. Because the reward isn't just the success you gain, it's the strength you build. The strength to stay calm. The strength to stay committed. The strength to keep going no matter what. And that strength that's built in silence. In every quiet moment where you chose progress over pride, focus over frustration, discipline over reaction. That's how strong people live, and that's how they win. Number 8. Respond with silence and take back your power. Power is often misunderstood as something loud or aggressive, but true power lives in the ability to control how you respond. When faced with provocation, criticism, or negativity, the strongest move you can make is to respond with silence. It is in this silence that you reclaim control over yourself and your emotions. You don't give others the satisfaction of seeing you react or the chance to influence your peace of mind. Choosing silence is not about weakness. It is a conscious act of strength and control. It's about not handing over your power to someone else's words or actions. When you respond with silence, you're telling yourself and the world that your worth is not tied to how others treat you. You're not dependent on approval or validation from outside sources. Silence creates a space where you decide what matters, where your energy goes, and how much influence someone else has over your life. It means you refuse to be dragged into arguments or drama that don't serve your growth or your purpose. This act of silence puts you back in charge of your emotions and your reactions. Every time you respond with silence instead of anger or frustration, you're protecting your emotional strength. You're preventing yourself from being pulled into unnecessary conflict and emotional exhaustion. When you keep quiet, you conserve your energy for things that truly deserve your attention. You guard your mental space like a treasure because that mental space is where your creativity, your focus, and your success live. By choosing silence, you refuse to scatter that energy on negativity. Silence also forces others to pause and reconsider their approach. When people realize you're not reacting the way they expect, it changes the dynamic. It takes away their control and shifts the power back to you. You're no longer a player in their game. You're setting the terms. This kind of power doesn't need to shout or prove anything. It commands respect simply by remaining unshaken. When you master silence, you show that you have the strength to endure, to listen, and to stay grounded no matter what comes your way. Responding with silence allows time for reflection and clarity. It gives you the chance to evaluate the situation without rushing to respond impulsively. Quick reactions often lead to regret and escalate conflicts. Taking a moment of silence lets you decide whether the issue is worth your response or if it's better to walk away. This pause helps you to act with wisdom rather than emotion, and acting with wisdom always leads to better outcomes. It's an act of self-respect to give yourself that space. Silence is also a form of communication that speaks louder than words. When you choose not to respond, you send a clear message that you're not going to be baited or controlled. Your silence can be more powerful than any argument because it shows confidence and calmness. It's a signal that you're secure in yourself and don't need to prove anything to anyone. People respect someone who doesn't react to every provocation because it shows a higher level of maturity and emotional intelligence. The world is full of noise and chaos, and sometimes silence is the most courageous thing you can do. It takes guts to not say what you're feeling when the temptation is to lash out. It takes discipline to remain composed when you feel misunderstood or attacked. When you choose silence, you're choosing peace over chaos. You're prioritizing your own well-being and emotional health above the need to be heard or defended in that moment. That choice strengthens your character and builds inner resilience. In many cases, silence prevents unnecessary conflict. When you speak impulsively, you might say things that escalate a situation or cause harm. But silence allows tempers to cool and perspectives to settle. It opens the door to calm conversations later instead of heated fights now. Sometimes saying nothing is the kindest thing you can do for yourself and for others. It protects relationships from breaking down over things that don't really matter in the long run. Choosing silence doesn't mean ignoring problems or burying your feelings. It means picking the right time and way to address issues with thoughtfulness and respect. It means not allowing emotions to cloud your judgment or lead you to say things you'll regret. When the time is right, your words will carry more weight because they come from a place of control, not reaction. Silence prepares you to speak powerfully when it truly counts. This practice of responding with silence is a daily choice. It's easy to get caught up in reacting immediately, but strength grows when you build the habit of pausing. It's in the small moments where you hold back the harsh comment, avoid the argument, or simply listen without responding that your power expands. You develop the ability to stay centered even when life is pulling you in every direction. That steadiness is the foundation for lasting success. Many people underestimate how much power they give away by reacting to every challenge with words or anger. They don't realize that silence is a tool to keep their power intact. When you learn to use silence strategically, you can control your environment better. You stop giving away your peace to those who seek to disrupt it. This control leads to better decision-making, improved relationships, and a calmer mind. Sometimes responding with silence is the best way to protect your reputation. When emotions are high, words can be twisted or misunderstood. Silence ensures you don't say something that could damage how others see you or harm your future opportunities. It's a way to keep your dignity and respect intact. People notice when you don't lower yourself to negativity or drama. They see you as someone who stands firm in their values and doesn't let others pull them off course. Silence can also be a form of self-care. When life throws challenges at you, you don't have to engage with every problem immediately. Sometimes the healthiest response is to take a step back, breathe, and keep quiet. This quiet space allows you to regain your strength, think clearly, and come back stronger. Protecting your energy is not selfish. It's necessary to maintain your mental and emotional health. When you respond with silence, you reclaim your power because you control the narrative of your life. You refuse to let external forces dictate your emotions or actions. You build a mental fortress that protects you from unnecessary stress. You develop the ability to remain calm in the face of pressure, and that calmness becomes your greatest asset. In the silence, you find your true strength. There's no need to rush to explain yourself or justify your feelings. Silence lets your actions speak louder than words. It gives you time to focus on what really matters: your goals, your values, and your peace. The power of silence is in its ability to keep you focused and strong while the world around you rushes in chaos. When you choose silence, you choose control, clarity, and power. Your silence is a shield. It guards you against negativity and distraction. It helps you maintain your focus and energy for what truly deserves your attention. That shield grows stronger every time you resist the urge to react. You become the master of your emotions and the captain of your life. This mastery is what separates strong people from everyone else. The power of silence lies in knowing when to speak and when to hold back. It's about listening more and reacting less. It's about valuing your peace higher than the need to be heard in every situation. That's true strength. It's a strength that builds confidence, wisdom, and resilience. And it's a strength that changes your life quietly but surely. You don't have to give away your power to every situation. You can choose silence and take it back. You can keep your peace and protect your heart. You can grow stronger every day by mastering the art of responding with silence. That strength will carry you farther than any argument ever could. Number 9. Speak less and give your actions meaning. There is immense power in speaking less because it forces your actions to become louder. When words are few, every movement, every decision, every effort gains significance. Speaking less isn't about being quiet for no reason. It's about valuing your words so highly that they carry weight when finally spoken. Actions become the language you choose to communicate your strength, your values, and your intentions. In a world where noise is constant and often meaningless, speaking less allows your behavior to make a clearer and stronger statement. Choosing to speak less also means you give yourself time to think and process before reacting. Too often people rush to fill silence with words, but those words may not carry the truth or purpose you want. Speaking less allows you to focus on what really matters, to prioritize the quality of what you say over the quantity. This practice strengthens your credibility because people notice when you speak with intention. It shows that you listen more, reflect deeper, and speak only when your words add value. When you speak less, you become a better observer. You start noticing details, emotions, and motives that others miss. This awareness helps you understand situations more clearly and respond more wisely. Your actions then align with a deeper understanding, making them more effective and meaningful. People respect someone who listens carefully and chooses their words thoughtfully rather than talking without purpose. This respect builds trust and opens doors that words alone cannot. Speaking less also protects you from misunderstandings. The more words you say, the greater the chance of being misinterpreted or creating confusion. Silence or fewer words reduce the risk of saying something that might harm your reputation or relationships. It gives you space to respond calmly rather than reacting emotionally. This calmness strengthens your character because it shows discipline and control. Your silence says more about your strength than any argument ever could. Actions backed by silence speak volumes about your confidence. When you don't feel the need to explain yourself constantly, others notice your self-assuredness. They see a person who doesn't need approval or validation through endless talking. This kind of confidence attracts respect and admiration. You become a person who leads not by loud words but by example. Your deeds become the true measure of your integrity and commitment. Choosing to speak less encourages consistency in your actions. It pushes you to live up to the standards you set without relying on words to cover gaps. People learn to trust you because what you do matches what you believe. This trust is the foundation for strong relationships, whether personal or professional. Speaking less and acting more builds a reputation that lasts because it is grounded in reality, not empty promises. When you speak less, you create space for reflection and growth. It allows your mind to focus on improvement rather than defending yourself or convincing others. You become more patient with yourself and with the process of change. This patience is crucial because meaningful growth takes time and persistence. Your actions become proof of your progress, not just talk about what you hope to achieve. Speaking less keeps you accountable to yourself first and foremost. Speaking less also helps you avoid conflicts that arise from misunderstandings or impulsive words. Many problems in life come from saying too much or speaking without thinking. Silence or fewer words reduce unnecessary tension and open the door for calm problem solving. It allows you to listen fully to others and find common ground. This ability to manage conflict peacefully reflects true emotional strength and maturity. When you speak less, you inspire others to pay closer attention. People become curious about what you will do next rather than just what you say. This anticipation creates a powerful presence because your actions become the focal point. You become a model for integrity and reliability. Others want to follow someone whose deeds consistently align with their values. This alignment makes your leadership authentic and lasting. Speaking less also means choosing your battles wisely. Not everything requires a response or explanation. Sometimes, staying quiet and letting your actions show the truth is more effective than any argument. This choice saves you energy and preserves your peace. It allows you to focus on your goals instead of getting distracted by unnecessary disputes. Your silence becomes a tool for strategic growth and success. Your actions become a form of communication that transcends language. They express your commitment, your values, and your resilience. When your actions are consistent and meaningful, they inspire others without a single word. This influence is far more powerful because it comes from authenticity. Speaking less gives your actions the spotlight they deserve. Choosing to speak less and act more also builds inner confidence. When you rely on your actions to prove your worth, you don't depend on others' opinions or praise. Your value comes from within, fueled by what you do, not what you say. This self-confidence creates a solid foundation for success in all areas of life. You become grounded in reality, not in illusions created by empty talk. Speaking less requires courage because it means resisting the urge to explain yourself constantly. It takes discipline to hold back and trust that your actions will do the talking. This courage is a sign of maturity and self-respect. It means you believe in your own abilities and don't need to convince others with words. This belief is what drives consistent effort and leads to meaningful results. Your actions gain clarity when words are few. People are not distracted by excessive talking and can see your intentions clearly. This clarity strengthens your influence because it removes doubt and confusion. You become a person whose purpose and direction are easy to understand. Others feel inspired to follow someone who is focused and authentic. Speaking less also improves your relationships. When you listen more and talk less, you create a space where others feel heard and valued. This respect deepens connections and builds trust. People appreciate someone who doesn't dominate conversations but shares space equally. Your actions then support these healthy relationships by showing care and consistency. Choosing to speak less is a practice that needs constant attention. It's easy to fall into the trap of explaining too much or reacting emotionally. But every time you catch yourself before speaking unnecessarily, you strengthen your self-control. This practice builds a habit that becomes second nature over time. Your life begins to reflect the power of quiet strength. Your actions become the proof of your character when words are limited. People watch what you do more than what you say. This reality means your behavior must align with your values every day. Speaking less and acting more forces you to be honest with yourself and others. It creates a life built on trust, respect, and real achievement. When you speak less, you avoid the pitfalls of overpromising and underdelivering. It's easy to say many things in the heat of the moment, but actions require effort and follow-through. By letting your actions lead, you avoid the embarrassment and damage of broken promises. This reliability becomes your brand and your source of strength. Speaking less sharpens your focus. You spend less time trying to explain or convince, and more time doing what matters. This focus increases your productivity and progress toward your goals. You become a person who moves forward with purpose and confidence. Others notice this difference and are drawn to your energy. Your silence becomes a source of power when it is paired with purposeful actions. Together they create a strong combination that influences others and shapes your life. Speaking less and acting more is not just a strategy, it's a way of living that leads to respect, growth, and success. It is the mark of a truly strong person. Each time you speak less and let your actions lead, you move closer to the person you want to become. You build a life where integrity, strength, and purpose define your path. This journey is not easy, but it is worth every effort. The quiet confidence you develop will carry you through challenges and open new doors. Speaking less and giving your actions meaning will always be one of the smartest choices you can make. Number 10. Practice patience and build your mental toughness. Patience is one of the most difficult but powerful skills anyone can develop. It's not just about waiting, it's about how you behave while you wait. True strength comes from enduring challenges without giving in to frustration or anger. When life tests you with delays, setbacks, or difficult people, patience becomes your shield. It allows you to maintain calm and focus even when things seem unfair or slow. Mental toughness grows from these moments where you refuse to give up or lose your balance. Building mental toughness isn't about being harsh or emotionless. It means developing the ability to face adversity with steady determination. It means choosing not to be controlled by stress, anxiety, or doubt. Instead, you learn to control your reactions and keep pushing forward. Patience supports this process because it teaches you to accept what you cannot change right now while preparing for the next step. Every time you stay patient, your mind grows stronger. When you practice patience, you train your brain to stay in the present moment rather than rushing into the future or dwelling on the past. This focus sharpens your clarity and decision-making. It helps you see opportunities instead of obstacles. Patience gives you the space to think clearly and act wisely rather than impulsively. This quality is essential for long-term success because quick reactions often lead to mistakes. Mental toughness means making thoughtful choices that support your growth. Experiencing frustration is natural when things don't happen on your schedule, but patience lets you accept that progress takes time and that challenges are part of the process. It prevents you from giving in to anger or disappointment that can drain your energy and cloud your judgment. Mental toughness grows stronger each time you choose to stay calm and steady. This calmness inspires confidence in others because it shows you can handle pressure with grace. Patience also builds resilience. When you face repeated obstacles or failures, it's easy to feel defeated, but patience encourages you to keep going, knowing that success often requires consistent effort over time. Mental toughness means embracing the struggle as a necessary part of your journey, rather than a signal to quit. Each time you endure hardship with patience, you build emotional muscles that prepare you for bigger challenges. Learning patience means understanding that not everything is within your control. You cannot force people or circumstances to change overnight. Instead, you focus on what you can control: your attitude, your effort, your persistence. Mental toughness comes from this acceptance paired with relentless action. You keep doing the work, day after day, even when results aren't visible immediately. This steady commitment separates those who succeed from those who give up too soon. Practicing patience also means setting realistic expectations. When you expect quick fixes or immediate rewards, you set yourself up for disappointment. Mental toughness develops when you acknowledge that meaningful progress takes time and patience. This mindset helps you avoid burnout and stay motivated. It also teaches humility because you recognize that growth is a gradual process, not a sudden event. Patience strengthens your emotional intelligence. It helps you recognize your triggers and manage your responses. When you feel frustration rising, patience gives you the pause needed to respond thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. This control builds better relationships because you avoid unnecessary conflicts and misunderstandings. Mental toughness includes the ability to remain composed under pressure and communicate effectively even in tough situations. Building mental toughness through patience is a daily practice. It requires conscious effort to pause, breathe, and choose your response wisely. Every time you practice this, you reinforce neural pathways that support calmness and focus. Over time, patience becomes a habit that shapes your overall mindset. You start to see challenges as opportunities to grow rather than threats to your peace. This shift is what strengthens your mental toughness. Patience also deepens your self-awareness. As you wait and observe, you learn more about your inner strengths and weaknesses. You notice patterns in your behavior and thoughts that either support or hinder your growth. Mental toughness grows when you face these truths honestly and make conscious choices to improve. Patience gives you the time and space needed for this kind of self-reflection. When you cultivate patience, you also develop better problem-solving skills. Rushing into decisions often leads to mistakes or missed details. Patience allows you to gather information, weigh options, and plan carefully. This thoughtful approach increases your chances of success. Mental toughness means having the discipline to delay gratification and make wise decisions that benefit you in the long run. Patience encourages gratitude for the small wins along the way. Instead of focusing only on distant goals, you learn to appreciate progress, no matter how small. This gratitude fuels your motivation and keeps your spirit high. Mental toughness is sustained by positive emotions that counterbalance stress and pressure. Practicing patience helps you maintain a healthy emotional balance that supports resilience. Patience also helps you manage uncertainty. Life is unpredictable and often beyond your control. Mental toughness includes the ability to stay steady in the face of the unknown. When you are patient, you accept uncertainty as part of the journey instead of fearing it. This acceptance frees you from unnecessary worry and helps you focus on what you can do right now. Mental toughness built through patience prepares you for setbacks without losing momentum. When obstacles appear, you don't see them as failures but as temporary challenges to overcome. Patience gives you the endurance to keep going, even when the path is tough. This endurance is essential for achieving long-term goals that require sustained effort and commitment. Practicing patience also improves your ability to handle criticism. Instead of reacting defensively or emotionally, you learn to listen, process, and respond thoughtfully. This maturity strengthens your mental toughness because you are open to growth rather than closed off by pride or fear. Patience helps you use feedback as a tool for improvement instead of a source of stress. Building mental toughness through patience helps you maintain hope during difficult times. It reminds you that challenges are temporary and that perseverance will lead to better outcomes. This hopeful mindset keeps you moving forward even when progress feels slow. Patience gives you the strength to stay committed to your vision without being discouraged by setbacks. Patience combined with mental toughness creates a powerful foundation for leadership. Leaders face constant pressure and must make decisions that affect others. Being patient allows them to remain calm and think clearly under stress. Mental toughness supports resilience and inspires confidence in those they lead. Practicing these qualities daily builds a character that others trust and respect. Your mind becomes sharper and more disciplined when you practice patience consistently. You learn to delay immediate gratification and focus on long-term benefits. This focus improves your ability to set priorities and manage your time wisely. Mental toughness grows as you train your brain to resist distractions and stay committed to your goals. Patience also nurtures humility. It teaches you that you don't have all the answers and that growth is a lifelong process. Mental toughness means embracing this humility and remaining open to learning and change. This attitude keeps you adaptable and resilient in the face of challenges. When you practice patience and build mental toughness, you protect your peace of mind. You avoid unnecessary stress caused by rushing or worrying about outcomes beyond your control. This peace supports your overall well-being and enables you to perform at your best. Mental toughness includes caring for yourself mentally and emotionally, so you can face life's challenges with strength. Every day you practice patience, you become more equipped to handle whatever life throws your way. Mental toughness is not something you have or don't have. It's developed through consistent effort. Patience is the training ground for this effort. It teaches you to wait without anxiety, act with purpose, and bounce back from setbacks. This combination is the secret to lasting success and fulfillment.